Hi Natasha! First of all, thank you very much for choosing me to do this reading for you today. Honestly, like, this is still a fairly new concept to me, like the idea of people trusting me to read their cards and to dip into their personal life and see what I can find. You've asked for a very generic and open reading, which is one of my favorites to do because it gives me loads of free reign, and it's just a good way for me to like dip into whatever kind of thing is jumping out to me. What I will say is, obviously, like, there's two different parts of a reading that is involved. One is just the cards in itself and what they mean as a card individually and in the position that they're in. So like a card will mean something in particular and it will be in a certain position which also means something in particular, and those things come together. The second part is intuition. So it's the stuff I can take from the reading, the stuff that I feel like the cards might be saying. But I want you to take those two things like quite differently, in a sense. Like, if I want you to take the cards for what they are and what they say, and then I want to try and work out myself what that could possibly be meaning and possibly be saying. But I want you to remember, like, I'm working on my intuition. I'm trying my best, but some bits will make sense to you, some bits probably not so much. I want you to also use your own intuition to, like, I mean, the cards will always be what the cards are. Like, what I say that the cards mean, that is what your message is. My intuition sometimes, I don't know, it can be a little bit off, and sometimes it can be good, sometimes it's not so much. But use your own intuition to work on what you think the cards are telling you as well. Even though I will be telling you what the cards are telling you, specifics will not be as crystal clear. So first of all, I'm going to do a oracle card reading for you just to start off, because I like to start on one of these and end on one of these as a nice guide to the kinds of stuff that you might need to know at this point in time. Oracle cards are really nice ways to get advice when we need it, and I read the oracle card definitions from the book, so it's nice to get kind of like two different types of readings in one session. So, I love the outfit you're wearing in your photo that you sent me, by the way. It's cute. Do you like mine? Do you like my big fluffy coat? It's really cold right now, so I apologise for looking like a crazy llama or something. First card you're getting today is Crown of the Butterfly Bambini. I think that says. I've never actually had this card before, which is interesting. It's 31 and it's got a big butterfly on the front, and the definition of this card is transformation. This is a transformation card apparently. Is an ability of art, a sacred power. It requires an ability to go through the death of an old self to be reborn again. That death might be an identity, a lifestyle or career, or an inner sense of self that no longer seems enough to truly reflect who you are becoming. It requires both strength and flexibility. To be like bamboo, to bend without breaking. You have to be so strong in your sense of your essence that even as the form of your life, your body, your mind, your very soul goes through change, you recognize that underneath it all, there is a kernel of essential, eternal you that is always the same. That is your spiritual anchor within, a feeling of peaceful consistency. The flexibility you possess will indicate the extent to which transformation is possible. Are you willing to let go of what you have known, who you have been, without judging it, except to understand that you are outgrowing your past and becoming your future in this very moment? This takes great courage, whilst flexibility of mind allows you to believe there are other possibilities in this life beyond what you have already experienced. The strength gives you enough courage to bear the loss of the known and the terror of the unknown, perhaps even turning that terror into excitement for what may be. This card also speaks of the spiritual ability in you to transform. That is not small change, it is life-altering transformation where you pass through a door and cannot go back. It is challenging, it is thrilling, it promises so much happiness, but there will be loss to grieve also. If you are in transition through such a transformational process, you will know how painful it can be at times. This oracle brings you confirmation that this shall not be a failed initiation for you, but a true rebirth. You have what it takes. You can make this crazy, improbable leap into a completely new consciousness. You are meant to do so. It might seem ridiculous, just like the improbable miracle of the caterpillar becoming the butterfly, but it is part of your destiny. The radical change of which you dream, or which you feel sweep up in without knowing what it is that is pulling you forward, is meant to be. Believe in your own ability to transform. Trust in what is happening. Don't dream small dreams, for you are capable of far more dramatic and colourful creations. You have within you the ability to become a creature so wildly beautiful and free that you probably cannot even envision what that will look like and feel like at this time. All you can do is trust in the magnificence of what you are becoming, the expression of the transformational intelligence and power within you. That's really lovely. I like that. So I'm guessing you're going through something right now that, as that's saying, like it's involving a big transition for you, something that you can't go back on once you go forward, but that's in a very positive way. Like that's definitely not going to be something negative for you. It's taking huge deep leaps forward. We just had the world card fall out, so that's a very powerful card. Like with what we're talking about here, that's like spirit. Sometimes it's a little bit of a spiritual growth thing. The oracle card said it speaks spiritual based stuff as well. So I don't know what it is that you believe in, but then there's guidance around you right now. There's people close to you in the spirit world that I feel like are helping you with this transition and watching you and kind of cheering you on, I feel. So what I'm going to do for you is a Celtic cross spread reading, which is one of my favorites to do on like a generic kind of, I keep saying generic, a general reading, because it gives me a good view of like everything happening right now in your life, in your situation, in your environment, everything. So let's start off with that, please. Cut once, cut twice, 3 times. So let's start. We have position 1, position 2, position 3, position 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it's a long one, 9, 10. Position number 9 is my fave. Cool. So let's start off with the very first position, which represents you in the middle of your situation, in the middle of everything going on right now. It's you in the middle of life and doing the lifey things, like how that's making you feel, the predominant things going on in your life right now. Death. You are going through some kind of transition for sure. Like death is about being reborn. It's a rebirth card. You've already had that rebirth in your oracle card. So yes, death. By the way, death sounds really scary. It doesn't mean you're dying. If anything, it means the opposite. It means you're really coming out into something new. Out with the old, in with the new is what you get with the death card. Because this is honestly, don't be frightened by this. This is one of the most positive cards in the deck. This card symbolizes like the end of a major phase or an aspect of your life that you realize is no longer serving you. So it opens you up to a possibility of something far more valuable and essential, which is really positive. Like you must close one door and open another. You need to put the past behind you and part ways, ready to like embrace new opportunities and possibilities. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's easy. This is usually a very difficult card because it's hard to let go of the past sometimes, but you'll soon see its importance. It will be worth it, and there's a promise here of renewal and transformation, which is life-changing. You've had 2 cards say the same thing now, so that's usually when it's very coming in very strong. Death can come in all different types of forms. So sometimes this can be a change that was forced upon you. Sometimes it's a very unwelcomed change. There's usually like an element of sudden and unexpected stuff. It can be a little bit overwhelming sometimes, but the main focus of the death card is the sun back here. He's creeping in because that's what's coming next. He's walking towards the sun. The sun is rising. It's about to get better. Now, if you can't relate to any of this is encouraging you to do the same. It's encouraging you to break out of old habits, old trends, go out with the old. It's all about the new. You really need to focus in the new right now. Let go of like old behavior that isn't serving you anymore, old people, old things. any form of baggage that's kind of weighing you down. Really focus in on like bad habits or patterns of behavior, belongings, memories, anything that isn't serving anymore needs to go. And you need to cleanse your life out right now. I don't know if you believe in crystal work and that kind of thing, but if you can buy some really nice, if you look up like cleansing crystals, they're really good at helping you clear the air and like fill the new out with the old in the new. You can get particular crystals to help you with that, but it's up to you whether you believe in that. But the thing is, what I always say to people that don't really understand or like crystals is just to wear a necklace maybe with a clear quartz or like something that helps you with cleansing the old. Just wear it because it will look nice anyway, so even if it doesn't do anything to your life, you've got a nice necklace. Like I always say that to people, if you're not really big on crystals, go buy like jewelry with a crystal in, because that way you're still getting something else out of it other than having crystals around your room that you don't necessarily believe in. So the next card we're pulling out is your obstacle card. This crosses against your first card here because it's usually the thing that's getting in the way of what you're doing now. So this card's obviously going to be getting in the way of your transitional, of your moving on kind of card here. We've got the Two of Wands. This is what I call like a planning card, thinking ahead card. He's got the world in his hand and he's trying to work out what he's going to do with his own version of the world. So his life, he's standing at his castle. He's not going anywhere right now. He's only looking out to plan ahead, to work out what it is, what moves he wants to make next, but with the resources that he already has now, because he's standing very strongly on the ground that he lives on. He's holding on to his wands. He's got, the wands are supposed to represent like his resources. So he's taking what he's thinking over what he has and what he's already like what he already owns, and he's trying to work out what to do with that to benefit his future. And this is a thinking ahead kind of card, reflecting over a lot of stuff. And wands also as a suit represents creative energy. So this is sometimes a bit of creative thinking. This is having to think ahead in a very creative way, being very intuitive about the things that he decides to do next. You went through some form of like discovery phase, and you know exactly what it is that you want to start manifesting now, and now you need to figure out exactly how. So you're exploring options and you're carefully plotting out the path ahead, accounting for all possibilities, potential challenges, that kind of thing. But right now you're really open to growth and exploring new territories, as long as you maintain a level of certainty that your efforts will work out in the end. And that might be what is getting in your way a little bit, because this card isn't moving right now. As you can see, he's on a horse. Any card that has a horse on it is about progression and going somewhere. He's standing very still, so right now he's not ready really to make the move. It's more important to him to establish like a clear plan, because this card's about discovery, particularly if you step outside your comfort zone and explore new worlds of experiences. So this is a little bit contradicting to the Death card, because this is, you know, overthinking the territory that you're not used to, overthinking what is going to be like outside of your comfort zone. Sometimes it can be talking about overseas travel, overseas plans, or something to do with that, because there is water and he's looking like across the water. But that doesn't always necessarily need to be the case. We'll see what other cards come up for that, but this might be talking about switching up in an environment anyway, like a living space, that kind of thing. But it's definitely some form of decisions of some sort. You know, you may make a choice between sticking with what you know or taking a risk. But I think with the Death card and these transitions, this is definitely going towards, you need to be taking that risk. You need to be stepping out into the unknown right now, because something really beautiful is just around the corner if you do. You understand the world as something bigger and more meaningful to offer you, yet you also realise that you must leave, you know, familiar grounds, and you know that you've invested so much where you are right now, but it's so important to step out and start exploring them options. So if you're in a space where, you know, you're thinking too much, you're worrying too much, you're thinking more than actual like putting in action and stuff, this kind of reading might really help you get that clarity that you need to help you move on with something, or to help you understand what is coming for the future. I'm going to pull out your next card now, which is your root card. It comes underneath your cards you've been doing now, because it's sort of like the reason why things have grown into the way they are. They're in the roots. They're the kind of cause of everything happening right now. So, Seven of Pentacles, it represents hard work, progress, things coming into blossom, like things blossoming. There has been an element of your life where things have shown for themselves, like hard efforts have really come into practice. But if you focus in on the man who's looking over the pentacles here, he looks a little bit like, he's proud of what he's achieved, but you know, all the things have grown, and now he's a bit like, well, what now? Like I see him as someone he's got a bit of shifty feet. He's a bit like, well, I've worked hard on this, and now I want to go and do something else. And I feel like that goes well with what we've been talking about today. You've come so far to this journey where you are proud of what you've achieved, and it's like, well, do I step ahead and work on something else now? Because you've got a very big sense of pride, I feel like, of what you created, and maybe that makes you a little bit wary about stepping out of that and moving on to something else, something new. Like, there's a huge part of you that wants to make sure you're putting your attention in the right areas instead of wasting time and effort on tasks that will not deliver any value anyway. That being said though, that can be a little bit contradicting, because you know what you have done, I feel like has no longer what you've done and what you've achieved no longer has a need and purpose to serve you in your life right now. So having that like pride about it is great and all, but like you're contradicting yourself if you don't want to move on to something new because of what you've already achieved and what you've already made, because putting your energy and effort into something that you've already achieved and what you've already made and the progress you've already made in that part of your life will be just as wasteful as putting your energy into something that you're not sure if it's going to come into anything. So really focus in on whether you're putting your heart and soul into something if you won't reap the rewards for your work. So yeah, this is also like a well done, this is a congratulations, this is a you've achieved great work. Like the hard work that you put into something is finally showing it, and it's tangible rewards. So this sometimes can be like financial gain, but at the same time, right, and now this is when you're going to say to me, Ellie, you're giving me mixed messages, because depending on how the other cards go, I might change this later on in the reading, depending on how the feeling of the rest of the cards sit. But like I was saying, with his face, it looks a little bit bored, he looks a little bit impatient. Sometimes this card can be, oh, this is not focusing, it can be like frustration with slow results. So labouring away at something important, but you might feel concerned that your efforts are going unrewarded, not patient enough to appreciate the progress you've made so far. Remember that your expectations may be a bit unreasonable in the nicest way possible. You've got to really be grateful, focus on the present, and do what you can with what you have, which is a lot about this one. This one's about doing what you can with what you have, because he stands quite stable with his grounds and his beliefs and what he owns and his ideas and his hard work and efforts, but he's planning ahead. So be grateful and humble for what you have and what you've achieved so far, because those things that you've achieved so far is exactly what you've needed to achieve to get to the next point in your life that you need to get to. It's all part of the process. You need to trust and have faith in your process. Know that everything was planned out in a perfect way for it to go perfectly for you, and don't think that you're behind on anything. Don't think that you don't have enough, because you do. You've done everything that you need to do for the place you're at now. You've done all the parts of the process that require getting to the next stage, getting to the next point in your life. That's going to obviously be really lovely, because we've had some really nice cards come up for you. I'm going to pull out the next card, which is now on top of your center cards. Because this is usually like your hopes and dreams. I see this, so like the bottom card is the roots, I see it as like the legs, and then up top I see it in the head. So this is your hopes, fears, what you aim for, the things that keep you up at night, the things you remember in the morning, where your headspace is really focused at. You've got the Knight of Cups. I call this my like romantic, my classic romantic card. This is a guy who's very in touch with his intuition and emotions, and he uses them in a very clever way to kind of charm and attract other people. He's quite understanding, and he has a lot of compassion because he has learned for a long time how to understand his own feelings and emotions. So he's obviously got his heart on his sleeve. His heart's very open, and he shares his love freely with others. You know, you're thriving for all things beautiful, and you're inspired. I think you're a creative person, because with emotional stuff, like if you're the type of person who is like the Knight of Cups, and he's inspired by like many creative outlets around him, like his environment. So this is an action orientated card as well, because he is on a horse, remember? So any horsey cards usually mean action and going forward. So he's motivated by action. That very much drives you. Sometimes it can work against you a little bit, because when there isn't as much action, when action doesn't go the way you expect it to, it might throw you off a little bit. You need to really have more faith in the process, I feel. But you have big dreams. You've got big goals and dreams of where you want things to go exactly. This might even be like I'm just putting a stab in the dark here. This might be like an art project, or an art-based situation that requires intuition and emotions and imagination, and you're having to be open to exploring your passions and your big ideas. It's having a hobby, having a passion, and making something out of it. And like what I always like to compare is how you are right now and your kind of hopes and dreams. Now these are very similar positions. I feel like the process of it might be a little bit off-putting to you, because it feels as though it might even feel to you as a little bit of a failure, something leaving, and you want to look more like this guy, but you're kind of getting this guy. So I see maybe the process not going as expected, but there's even if it is as expected, there's just definitely a sense of renewal, and you're on a definite sense of mission. There is a mission involved here, and it's having to make a decision that's based on emotions and the heart. This is a situation where you're having to think about what you feel about the situation rather than what you think, even if, you know, others don't particularly make sense of what it is that you're trying to do. And that's why it makes me think of art, because that's how art always appears to me. Now this is another one of my favorite cards. This is your previous position. I like this card because it gives me a better idea of why things are going the way they are, and why I've discussed all the things I've just discussed. It kind of helps me understand a bit more of your story. So you have the Six of Pentacles. As you can see here, this is a very giving, and I mean it shows poverty here. Some people see this as receiving help, some people see it as giving help. Now with a lot of tarot cards, as I was saying with this one, there can sometimes be one end of the scale and another end of the scale. It's very like there's two sides to every card. Definitely you've kind of got to work with your intuition to work out which one it is it's referring to. For this, I see generosity for sure. You may be like the wealthy man in this card, sharing wealth and abundance with others. This doesn't necessarily need to be finance, but it can be financial assistance to those who need it. But it's just giving generously through donations, fundraising, or just even time, energy, love, support to those who are in need, knowing it will be appreciated. So it's giving time and wisdom, because it feels spiritually fulfilling. On the other hand though, as I was saying, that this could literally be flipped. It's on the receiving end of other people's generosity, accepting gifts with gratitude, something that is to help you get back onto your feet. But obviously this is a temporary thing. Like you would have needed to think of ways in which you can become more self-sufficient in the long run. The risk of accepting charity is that you become dependent on it, of course, and cannot, you know, look after yourself. Depending which end of the scale you're on here, it's about not growing submissive. It's not being noticeably desperate as a result of the charity that somebody else is providing you. So Now both sides of that are very literal, like just by seeing that you can probably guess what the card is representing, but in a less literal way it can just be good financial position, like ingoings and outgoings are perfectly balanced because he does have scales here, and you have enough space to be generous, but you also, you know, you have like enough coming in to give out, but you also are receiving well from whatever it is that you're working towards. But we'll keep on looking at the rest of the cards because, as I said, the more that come through, the more it will make sense. Obviously this was the past, sorry I didn't say, this was the past 5 months. And now we're looking at the next 5 months for you. We've got a long-term future ahead as well. Ooh. So this is your short-term, I always call it short-term future. Interesting. So this is, oh, well, where do we start with this? So this can be, you know, overwhelming opportunities. This is lots of different things that you're bedazzled by. Sometimes you can be a little bit distracted by all the different shiny cups. Sometimes all that sparkle, no, what is it? All that glitters is not, all that sparkles is not what, I can't remember. But something about all that glitters isn't gold. So sometimes this is a bit of like an overwhelming card. It's foggy, there's clouds in it. Most tarot cards with clouds in can represent just like not a clear space, not a clear head. So it is an overwhelming bound of world of kind of opportunity and choices. It's making a choice still, and I see a little bit of fog when you're trying to make that choice coming up for you. This is the 7 of Cups, is the classic ultimate choice card, that's for sure. There are many choices, obviously. There are some positive because there's like gold in some, there's pretty things in others, but then in like 2, for example, here there's some weird creatures, there's some snakes. If it's going to focus, it will show you that. So there's some wonderful, there's some positive, but there's some negative and even dangerous. But some are also fantasy and illusionary cups because they don't really exist. This can be a very imaginative card as well. So the main vibe of this can warn you, you know, that things or people might not seem who they say they are, or other options aren't exactly what they promise. The problem I see mostly when this card comes up is that a choice does finally have to be made, obviously. Sometimes we sit back and kind of hope things will like just weed themselves out. This time they aren't. So it can be a forced choice. The surrounding cards that we can talk about can kind of help with advice and stuff. So it's good that we're doing this because then we can look at the advice card in a minute. This is you need to have a more pinpoint focus here because this is kind of wanting to put a little bit of stuff in loads of different cups, but you need to just have, like, I would say to write, to get a bit of paper, to get a journal, buy a book, I don't know. That's your long-term goal on it. So the one thing that you really want most out of everything else, try just to focus in on one thing that sticks out mostly. Use your intuition to help you focus on the thing that is that you want the most and desire the most, because I feel like sometimes you might really struggle with that. Whatever feels most right to put on the top of that list, put it on the top of that list as something that you want. And write it in present tense. So say like, I will be a film star. That was not what you want to do, but I'm just saying that. And so you write at the top and then write down like 20 bullet points or 10 bullet points, I don't know. But in each bullet point, you've got to write a small step towards the thing at the very bottom. And on the bottom of the list, it's going to say the thing again. It's going to be like, I am a film star. So you write on the top, like the first bullet point would be to build a portfolio. The second bullet point would be to assist someone else making a movie, to be like a coffee maker for someone on set so you can get your toe into the film industry. And then the second bullet point is to start a social media account to put my portfolio of film projects that I've worked on. I'm really just pulling this out of nowhere here, but I feel like that might really help you because it forces you to focus in on one cup rather than be overwhelmed in a lot. And it also helps you work on your intuition. It helps you listen to what the main thing is that you want so that you can write it onto the list, and then it helps you focus in on it and work towards it instead of just staying in this paused position here. Okay, let's move on to the next card now, which is your attitude and approach towards the situation. I love this card because it really helps you question yourself, and it makes you like wake up to exactly how you're approaching the situation a bit more, because sometimes we get so lost in the moment we don't really think about how, like, the kinds of energies we're putting out there. The Ace of Wands, this is a really nice one, to be fair. This is a new path again. As you can see, the hand's literally coming out of thin air right now from a cloud, and it represents like a kind of like spiritual and energetic realm in a way. It's a wand card, remember, so this is creative again. And it's ideas are flowing to you, motivation, you're being inspired to pursue a new path. Once again, any ace card, it's the first card of all the suits, so it's about new beginnings. You're very open to receiving new opportunities right now. It's weird because so much of your reading is very much focused on the same thing. You're feeling strong pulls towards a new project or path, but you're maybe questioning too much whether it will work. And then, you know, we've already spoken about all of this, but this card kind of gives the same sort of thing. And this card gives you a gentle nudge. You can always start out small, treating the project or idea as like experiment or trial. Don't be so focused in on the big picture. Like, don't think, once again, it needs to go like this way, it needs to happen in this certain way. Like, kind of just take small steps. You've already got it, like I was saying about the bullet point thing. Then if it feels good, just keep doing it, and if it doesn't, make adjustments, try again. Let your energy, your dedication, your motivation be your guides. So this is good, this is positive. I like that one. Maybe the inspiration and the motivation comes on a little bit too strong at times, and it can lead you in this kind of situation, that's for sure. We'll keep looking at the other cards. So this one comes above your attitudes and approach because it's your environment, it's the space around you, it's the people around you. And I feel like the reason why these two cards are so close to each other is because the people around you can really affect your attitudes and approach half the time. So it's good to take a look at the kinds of people we're surrounding ourselves in. Oh, Ace of Pentacles. This can be work people, work colleagues, friends, family, people you live with, anything, the people that you just have in your space. So Ace of Pentacles, when it comes to relationships and people, this is actually once again, it's Ace, so it's new, it's the start. This is new friendships, new family connections, or like a blossoming romance, that kind of thing. And once again, it's not focusing. This is new, it's exciting, it's a bit fluttery. It's a tangible suit. This is actual things that you can hold, material world, finances, wealth, career, physical health, goals, manifesting your goals, that kind of thing. Still still struggling with focus. So this is still, once again, it's Ace, so it's new beginnings, it's opportunities, potentials. This is obviously productivity because it's building foundations, because it's tangible stuff. It's like the home and that kind of thing. So it's your actual physical environment. So that's really good. Once again, you're getting a lot of these cards anyway, so that's really good for in this kind of space. It's saying, you know, this period will also see most of your relationships on stable ground, and, you know, despite the hard work that you may be doing, you'll be very content with your situation. So you've got a really good foundation, a good base of people around you, relationships. You might be starting on a new home or foundation with other people, with someone. You might be building up a foundation with a close member, a close family, friend, something like that. It's also about receiving recognition from people around you. You might be receiving recognition, like a raise, a better financial start, something new, like a new path with somebody that's giving you like financial benefits or material world gains, promotion, that kind of thing. As a star sign, this means that the people around you, close people around you, may be Capricorn, Taurus or Virgo. But I don't usually link astrology to tarot cards, but people ask me to do it all the time, so I'm gonna say that. But I don't know if that even means means much to you, but usually it's supposed to bring forward star signs that really help and benefit your life right now. So it's supposed to, you know, encourage you to keep them in your life and all of that jazz, but you will do it anyway if you know that they're giving you great things and they're, you know, they're helping you and whatever. My next card I'm gonna pull out is my favorite card. It's advice. I love this card because there's no point knowing all of this stuff unless we hear advice, because it helps us. Duh. Okay, this is probably fairly predictable. 5 of Pentacles. This is another poverty kind of feeling to it, because as you can see here, like this one here, there are 2 people who almost look like this. They could be this actual same people. That's interesting. I've never seen that before. Who are poverty stricken, and this one, you know, you are helping them, or you are them being helped, and in this one they are not receiving help. This is them walking past a church that has light here, and this church can offer them help. This is their way kind of out of this situation. So in my mind, that always means to me, like, not actually looking for the support that you need, because it's a card of financial loss and poverty. It's or it can be like hitting hard times, especially when it comes to work, career, finances, material, because it's Pentacles. So if there's a sense of loss, whether that's losing your job, your home, your financial security, I don't know what it is, but it could be related to the Death card here. Your ego might be a little bit bruised, right? And it might make you feel a little bit isolated and alone, like the 2 people in the card. But you might be wondering, you know, why is no one coming to help me? It might appear as if no one cares anymore. But there are lights in the church here. They're lit. You're too focused on the problems to notice that they are lit. You might be waiting for someone to come and help you, when really you need to ask for help. You need to be proactive. You need to swallow your pride or let go of your fear of rejection and failure to reach out. People are here to support you. Find them and let them know you need them. It can just be like a lack of mindset, you know. It's about focusing on only what you lack. All you can see is what's going wrong. It's about shifting the energy. Look for evidence of what you do have. You know, even if it's very small, it's focusing. These 2 cards can be a little bit related sometimes. You know, when I said about him not having patience, not realizing that things aren't growing as quick as you want them to be, it's focusing sometimes on the things that aren't growing instead of the things that are. It's having fear that you don't have enough, and we spoke about that as well. Not having enough in this card and not having enough here with what you've already got. Or you might lose something important to you, even if it hasn't happened yet or is unlikely. You might be living in a fear that you lose your job. You'll be left in the streets with no home and no support. If you stay focused on all the negative things that might happen, be careful, because that kind of stuff can be manifest. I don't know if you believe in like the law of attraction, but people that are like, that live and breathe the law of attraction, they believe whatever you think is what you bring into your life. Like you bring the future into your life by imagining up these negative things, and that can attract the things actually happening. So once you shift that mindset and you put yourself in that positive place of, like I said earlier, I am a film star, writing it down on a bit of paper helps you attract that kind of energy, instead of saying, I could never do that. I'm not going to write a list of how I'm going to become a film star, because that's not going to be possible. Like, you're already setting yourself up for failure by saying that. You know, instead, redirect, like this card does here, your attention to what you have now and what you want in the future. So your manifesting powers can be used for good. It's combining those 2 things together. So this is for sure about not going on this journey on your own. There's other people, there's help. You have that near you. We spoke about that with this card. Help that will give you financial gain from people around you. There might be a new stream of income from asking your environment for help. This might come into action once you've spoken about that. There's a new beginning for like some form of, I keep saying financial because it's pentacle, but it can be just tangible stuff, things that you need, physical stuff that you need to help you on your next journey after this Death card. To help you with this, maybe you're struggling with what one to go into because you don't have the physical things. You need to reach out to people that can help you get these physical things. Conserve your resources, you know. Don't do too much of the giving. Keep hold of what it is you have. Always be prepared for a rainy day, which is basically just save as little as possible, as much as possible. This can be literally be seeking out a financial expert if you have some sort of fear of preparing for the future. If money is the issue why options are becoming difficult, and you're worried about you know, what you've got now and it's not growing, you're worried about that, seek financial help. Interesting, interesting. Let's look at your far future card now. This is how things are going to look for you in the next year, which is really exciting. Ooh, Justice as a future card. Having this with 2 aces is pretty powerful, because whatever the aces are, you know, Pentacles, Swords, Cups, Wands, the presence of any ace in a reading with the Justice card gives the decision you're about to make a special blessing. It's a little luck in your corner. It's about moving forward with your journey. It's a little bit of like a magic, think of it as like fairy dust sprinkling over your reading. This is, I really like the feeling of this card, because with the Justice card, she makes big decisions in people's lives. She see her as like someone in court, someone in charge of the law. She makes these big decisions that affect people's lives. So we think of many things in life as solid, but they're not, you know. The deepest friendships are affected by where we live, or like the shift of what we choose to do with our lives. You know, they happen slowly, but then over time we start noticing the change, and then by then we're far removed from what they once were to ever kind of live them again. So this is sort of telling you that you need to get ready for a big change. No matter how minor a decision you're about to make, it's going to shift into something a whole lot bigger and more powerful. This is also making sure, you know, you are doing something with the greatest good, like doing something for the best of all involved. If you're not, then you're going to be called out for it. If you are, then you've got luck on your side. That's a great thing. You're doing perfectly fine, because that's what Justice is all about. It's about being truth and being true, and also it's about being true and truthful to who you are as a person, your morals, your beliefs, what you want in it, that what you really want, not what other people really want of you. If you're going to need to be seeking justice in the future for whatever reason that is, then it's going to be served. So it's a really nice sign for that, whether that's any legal matters or anything that involves law, someone kind of judging the situation for what it is. So maybe if it is, you see, for example, this isn't, I'm not necessarily saying this will happen, but if you're having to like seek out help from financial professional help of some sort, the Justice card will be saying that someone would see your situation for what it is and make a decision to benefit you and to support you. But this is mostly about a decision and how powerful the decision is, but you've got nothing to worry about the outcome of the decision if it's always going to be for the greatest of good, if it's always going to be something that you stand by morally, and it's for the best of all people involved. And you know, if you're willing to accept the consequences of the decision, then it's fine. And that's what I like about the Justice card, because it's really pure and it can see right through you, and you've got nothing to worry about it if you know you're a good person. And it's also about exploring the truth and what it means to you, which is interesting. I'm gonna pull out a card from my Learner Tarot deck. This is something my mum bought me, which is really cool. It's for people who are just learning out, but I like pulling cards out from this as clarifiers, because it's a very simple deck that kind of gives you just like one-worded clarifying words one word to kind of help understand the reading for what it is as a whole. Justice. How cool is that? Fairness. Things are going to work for your favor. Karma. This is a karma card as well, remember. So if you feel like there's been an imbalance with how things are treating you, if things don't necessarily feel fair, they're going to shift. There's going to be a change of energy. I think that obviously really wants to come through. So prepare for something in the future to kind of finally feel worth it, and finally feel like you're going to say justice has been served, and it's going to feel really good. Let me just cut one more time. The Emperor, security. There's a definite sense of security that's going to manifest in your life soon, and it might feel like right now that has been lacking because of all the different elements we spoke about in this video. But I mean, justice for security is really good, because I see maybe a physical like home living situation for you that's going to feel a lot better, a lot more secure, and it's going to feel like it's finally happened and it's finally come into action, and it's just a better sense of security, whether that's money, ideas, not feeling so airy-fairy and up in the air about everything. There's going to be a process for sure, but that's what's coming through. I want to do one last quick finish reading for you, which actually I need to go get. It's actually in a magazine I had. It had a really nice spread in it that I want to finish reading off doing. How lovely is this spread? It has home, work, relationships and money on it, and it gives me a little bit of advice. I use this as advice. Well, you can use it as advice or how things are going to look for you in the future. I'm probably going to do actually how things are going to look for you in the future, because I just changed my mind as I saw it, so I want to kind of go with my gut. So this is going to tell me how things look in the near future. I'm going to say 5 months for you when it comes to home, and then I'm going to do work, relationships and money. I'm going to do them in one single sweeping spread. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me know in the emails, in my email, if there's anything that didn't make sense to you. I can go over the cards, and also I want you to remember I'm still kind of like learning definitions of cards and stuff. So if something didn't resonate with you at all, could you tell me? Because then I can have a look to see what the card was trying to tell you instead, and that really helps me with my future readings. Got once, got twice, got 3 times. Home, work, relationships, money. Home, this is a go-getter. This is someone with a lot of energy, but I see this as a change. This is, I feel, a change of home, possibly. I feel that sometimes this is a sense of leaving, because he's going left, and I see cards that are facing left as kind of going backwards. So sometimes he can be a little bit too irrational with his decisions, so he can kind of think, my camera just died again. I had a starburst while I was waiting for the battery. So this sometimes can be a bit irrational, because he's very quick thinking. Very quick thinking, but sometimes not in the best way, because he can sometimes see the grass as greener on the other side. That doesn't necessarily need to be a good thing, especially when it comes to the home life. So I definitely see a change in home, that's for sure. That's for sure. Just, I would say, be very careful and be very sure of the decisions that you make when it comes to changing homes. So don't fall for illusions at this point, and really do your research and think 5 steps ahead when it comes to making a decision about something. Like, think of all the possibilities. Think of all the, write a pro and con list, I think is what the best thing to say about that is. Work life. Knight of Pentacles, lovely for work. That's really good. Oh, I just realised you got 2 knights now. How lovely. So, as we know, the Pentacles, it's tangible, it's business, it's finance related anyway. So he shows you working away and putting a lot of time and effort into a company or something in order to see like a return. Like, you're making back any investments, whether that's money or time putting into something. You're not going to be a millionaire soon because you're not a king or queen yet, but the Knight is a very good place to start. You know, having this in an outcome position is a good or bad thing depending on how much you love your work. If you can handle your current workload, then all's fine. But if you feel like you're putting in too much effort for too little in return, then you're needing to ask yourself if this is a trend you wish to continue in the future. Because they've got they're persistent, they've got patience of a saint, they work really hard. So if this isn't an outcome, it just means there's going to be more of that. So it depends on how you feel about that situation. Or if you feel like, you know, you're starting something new, you're going into a new work situation, then that's a good sign. It's just basically whether you want to put on that attitude of like that's coming into your future. So like, if you feel that you're ready to do that in the next stage of work that you're about to jump into, then perfectly fine. Relationships, the Magician. Relationships and the Magician is a really nice little combination to have together, because with the Magician card, whatever he lands on, he's telling you that you're capable of achieving the things that you want to achieve regarding the position that you've landed on. With a Magician card, he can magic up anything. Anything's possible with the Magician card. He's telling you you've got the power within yourself to make whatever it is that you're trying to work on when it comes to your relationships. Now, relationships could be friends, family, lovers, whatever it is that you require most in your life, that you want to work on, that you want to achieve. He's saying it's what you make of it. He's a magician. You know, your relationships, friendships will be what you make of it. You need to apply energy abilities to make it work. The question is, do you have the determination to do it? Because a lot of us can say, hey, I don't have enough friends, I don't have a lover, I don't have a good relationship with my family. Are you trying to build a relationship with your family? Are you forgiving? Are you forgetting? Are you cutting old ties with friends that no longer serve you to make time for new friends? Are you actively looking for a relationship? How are you doing that? Are you loving yourself enough in order for someone else to love you? It's about proving to yourself how much you want something, and you can achieve it just fine. So the things are there. There's definitely potential here. You just need to do your part now. I feel like the other party's part has happened, and now you need to really meet in the middle. Money, Four of Pentacles. Interesting, because this card's mostly about money anyway. It's a little bit about control. It's about holding on to what you've got and being very conserve the things that you have right now, which we've spoken about a lot anyway, and make use of them. Don't be too giving at this point in time. Just kind of like have a nice balance between your ingoings and outgoings. Really budget. I would suggest to you now is a good time to budget. Really go into your bank statements and take a look at the things that are going out, and really focusing on the priority of how much you need that certain thing, because soon you're going to be put in a space where you have to, you know, really be careful with your money. But as well as being careful of the stuff that is going out, you know, into whatever that you're buying, you're spending your money on, it's also focusing on how much those things are improving your situation and helping you. So it's not saying cut out all your outgoings, obviously. It's about focusing on the outgoings that are really helping you and serving you towards the things that you want to do, towards your desires, towards your dreams. Like for me, for example, like I'm going to cut out outgoings towards like buying lots of shoes in Topshop, and then I'm going to look at my outgoings to, sure, buying a new camera that's like triple, quadruple the stuff I'm spending in Topshop, but it's obviously priorities. It's the stuff that mean a lot to me right now. So not holding on to everything. Sometimes this can be like holding on to too much. It's just focusing in on the things that serve you. So having control over the situation, not letting it go over your head, or being like too obsessive with it, and holding down onto something that's like restricting you from being the greatest person that you possibly can. So it's having that really nice balance between the two. I've gone over all the time I said I would. I always do, because I get so carried away. But I really hoped you enjoyed this reading, Natasha. Please let me know in the comments, if in the email, if there was anything that didn't make sense, as I said earlier, because it really helps me learn the cards to a better understanding. And I hope that whatever I said can improve your next year or so. And once again, I really appreciate you coming to me and asking for a reading. So have a lovely week, and thank you so much. Love your face. Goodbye.